Your Eagle Morning Show with Good Time Charlie, and joining me on the telephone is Mr. Jake Johannsen, the comedian who is performing tonight at the Ellen Theater, 8 o'clock p.m. Tickets still available. Cue card guy, I think they are. Hello, Jake. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Mr. Johannsen, you are out there touring the world, and of course, you're coming back to Bozeman. You were here a few years ago. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm pretty excited to be in Bozeman.
And how did you like Bozeman before? Did you have a fun time?
I had a great time. I had a most heavy-duty breakfast I may have ever eaten in my life the last time I was there.
Yeah, that's how we do it here in Montana. How long have you been doing comedy?
For 34 years.
Wow, since the early 80s. What was the catalyst? Did you see other people doing it, and you thought, maybe I can be funny, I can tell anecdotes on stage into a microphone in front of people?
You know, I think I was under some kind of delusion when I decided to try and be in show business, and I'm just lucky that it worked out. I mean, at that time, there weren't really comedy clubs. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah, because this was the early 80s, and then I think towards the end of the 80s when the big boom was, and the comedy clubs started popping up all over the U.S., and I'm sure you utilized those. And, of course, that translated into television appearances. And Letterman, of course, being the most famous one. When you say Jake Johannsen, people say that, oh yeah, over 40 appearances, which is incredible. For one thing, why were you? Did David Letterman just take a shine to you then, or?
Well, I think I was kind of up his alley in terms of the kind of comedy that he liked, and when he had me on, I did the job, and so he would have me on the next year. I mean, it's one of those things where it seems like a lot to me too, 47 appearances, but you start doing it, and then you just do the next one and the next one and the next one, and before you know it, Dave's retiring.
Yeah, and he's got a place here in Montana up in Choteau. Have you ever been out to the ranch out there?
No, I can't say that I have. I'll have to put a shout out on Twitter. Maybe Dave will show up. Maybe Dave will show up at this show.
Yeah, no, as far as comedy goes, a lot of comedians will go into TV, acting, or movies. Is it true that you were asked by Seinfeld to play George Costanza on the Seinfeld pilot?
Well, it's sort of true. It's true that he and I were developing TV shows at the same time at Castle Rock, and his show was Seinfeld, and my show was a different show. And so we were running into each other there and in comedy clubs, and I think I had completely forgotten about this until he said something about it in a press interview, because I think what happened at the time was my manager called me and said, "Hey, Jerry would like to know if you're interested in being on his show." And I said, "I love Jerry. I'd love to be on his show. Can I do Jerry's show and also do my show?" And they said, "Well, no, if you're on Jerry's show, you just do Jerry's show." And at the time, of course, we didn't know that his show was going to go, and my show was going to be a script that I have on a shelf in my office.
Gotcha.
So I feel like I bet on myself. Knowing what I knew at the time, I would do that again, and I think everybody really would. But in retrospect, man, Jason Alexander
he
has
plays
made a lot more movies and TV shows than me.
Right, he plays it wide though, and in your style, because I just saw your short film, Address Unknown, on your website, which is simply amazing. I mean, it's a great story. It's very intriguing. You're involved the whole way, but you're a little more maybe a more subdued style compared to like Alexander, just going wide and just expressive. And I think I would see a different Costanza, obviously.
Well, that's the other thing that I usually say when somebody asks about this is that, hey, maybe Jerry's lucky that I didn't decide to do that show.
Now, as far as acting goes, you were actually married to an actress, the lovely Belinda Weymouth, and I was listening to your podcast for the first time the other night, and you guys had just seen the Golden Globes, and is a pretty cool thing to have an entertainer in the house, but also one who can actually be on a podcast with you and talk about interesting things in the entertainment world with you?
Yes, it's great. I mean, I love my wife, and I love that she can understand show business, and you sort of need that as a comic or an actor, because you take a job and you're working on the road, and if you're not with someone who understands that that's part of it, that can be really problematic. But like you say, she's also terrific in that she's got a great sense of humor.
And as far as being a podcaster yourself, do you like interviewing regular folks more, or maybe kinfolk like comedians? Are they more fun to talk to?
Well, for the most part, I kind of wind up just talking to people that I know, because I'm not really trying to go after ratings by booking famous guests that I have never met. I'm more kind of trying to connect with the audience of people who I know by talking to people that I know about things that hopefully we're all interested in. So I would say I end up talking to a lot of comedians. I would have to say that that's one of the best things about being a comedian, is that you wind up with a lot of friends who are comedians, and they're pretty fun people to hang out with.
Yeah, at least when you get in front of a microphone, they will be funny and be interesting and have some cool stories because of all the funny things that pop up when you're like on the road and that sort of stuff. But as far as other bits of social media, such as Twitter, I see you're on Twitter a lot, and you also shoot short videos, promotional videos when you're going to be in different places. How would you like that? I know a lot of older comedians sometimes kind of shy away from that, especially you've been around since the early '80s, back when rotary phones were a thing, and mailing lists and all that fun stuff. But now there's email and Twitter and Facebook and all that. Has that helped you any, or do you find that sort of a hindrance? Like, I got to go do this, it's something else I got to do.
I'm trying not to think of it as a kind of a pain in the butt thing that I have to do. I'm trying to more kind of feel like, oh, this is another thing that I can try and be creative with. And, you hope that they all add together. It's to connect to people who might want to come to your show.
One last question before we go, though. Many stages, going, you're on the road all over the place. What is the weirdest venue that you've ever played?
Boy, I've been to some weird ones. I mean, I performed at strip clubs. I mean, that's more of an old school from before my time. Jay Leno talks about working in strip clubs. I only worked in one strip club in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Where it was a small town, and that was kind of that was where you would go out to see any show. And so you do the show. I think the comedy show was at something like 6:30 or 7, and there was this older couple in the front, and they came up after the show and said, "Oh, we really enjoyed your show. Yeah, we come every week. We love the comedy." And then we stay and see a few strippers. He likes to see a few strippers after the show.
So do you get paid like in stripper tokens then, or?
No, we did get paid. We did get paid cash money. Comedians are like strippers. We need cash money.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually used to be a DJ at strip clubs for like 8.5 years, and Ron Jeremy, weirdly enough, came to one of them I worked at. He did stand-up there, and that was the first time I had seen him do stand-up, and I was cracking up, and I asked him for advice, too. I was like, I'm thinking about getting into comedy. You got any advice for me? And he said, well, number one, be funny, and number two, have a big So I've been like, working twice as hard ever since. So.
I don't think you need the big comedy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's generally speaking, it's always a plus.
You're right. All right, well, Jake Johannsen, we'll see you this evening, 8 o'clock p.m. at the Ellen Theater, and thank you for taking time out to talk to us this morning. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll see you there. Thank you.